Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is you're calling in from, looking at, being with us, watching, viewing. How's it going? It is so good to see you. Uh, want to say good morning to each and every one of you. Please let me know what the weather looks like where you are and where you're listening from. Dr. Pierre, my favorite Dallas person. How is it going there in Texas? Good to see you. Be in the 80s. Well, let me tell you, here in the in Detroit, Michigan, which is where I'm talking to you from, where I am. It's in the 50s, and there's a freeze warning out for tomorrow. Now, see, why does that happen? I don't know why it does, and it's 80 there. Donna, how are you? Now, see, oh, so good to see you. I've missed you. I know you've been doing fabulous things because that's what you do. And so it's pretty sunny there in Kentucky. I'm so glad to hear that. So good to see you and glad you're joining. And listen, if it's sunny there in Kentucky, you missing out here in Michigan. Nothing's much changed about that Michigan weather. You know how it be here, in Michigan. You never know what's going to happen from one day to the next, but that's what keeps it rolling and grooving and, just wonderful, wonderful being and wonderful just being here, being alive, and being with you. I'm so delighted. We are streaming live here on LinkedIn and YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, formerly is now X, formerly known as Twitter. How's that go? You know what I'm saying, but I'm trying all the channels here with you so that the word can get out. Please let your friends and family and colleagues know that we are here every Wednesday, 9 o'clock, talking about those things, talking about leadership, talking about women in leadership roles and the issues and challenges that face us. And for any of those subjects or topics that you'd like to have me teach on, talk about, please let me know in the comments. Just drop it in the comments. I would love to hear about it. And I want to send out a special invite to those of you who are here live, those of you who are on the replay. Join me at elevatenextlevelsuccess.com, where every day I'm dropping some wisdom, dropping some information about leadership, about who and what we need to do to be successful, to have that best life, to have that most vibrant life. Yes, indeed. And today we're going to talk about a subject that really so many leaders, particularly women leaders, ask me about. They're interested in their career. Good morning. Hello. I'm seeing folk just coming right on in. Glad to see everyone here today. And I think we need to just go on and get started. So if you're just joining us, have you ever wondered how to pivot to your dream career as a leader in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s? Today, I'm going to share some essential strategies for tackling the unique challenges you face as a woman leader looking to make a career change, especially in midlife. So, whether you're looking to advance in your current field or what you're doing now, or taking a bold leap in a new industry, having a clear plan and the right tools is critical for success. Now, those of you who are with us, you might be in your mid 40s. You've perhaps reached a plateau in your career and you're looking for new ways to grow and to make an impact within your current field. Or you may be joining us as a woman in your 50s who spent some time, several decades, in building your expertise in a particular field, but you now feel this strong pull to pursue a passion, a special project, or perhaps to start your own business in a completely different sector. Or you may be in your 60s. You may be joining us here today, live or on the replay, as a woman in her 60s who's recently retired, or perhaps looking to retirement soon from a leadership role, but you still have so much to offer, still want to give. You want to find a meaningful way to contribute your skills, but in a new capacity. All of that is real. All of that, many of us are at those stages or others. And you also may be, while you looking for feeling that urge for some career change, you might also be worrying that a significant career change at this stage of your life might not work out. And you might have some challenges or problems with financial stability, or even perhaps a sense of regret. Or you may be doubting your ability to succeed in a new role if you've been in one field for a long time, or you may be concerned that potential employers or people may look at you and view you as perhaps a little irrelevant because of your age. Or maybe you're just anxious or could be anxious about making a career move and how that might impact your family, your partner, your spouse, your children, or perhaps just your overall well being. Or, maybe you just feel overwhelmed or unsure about what steps to take to make a successful career pivot. I want you to know all of that is natural, normal, all those anxieties or concerns you might have, the different places you might be as you're considering career changes. All of that is natural and normal. And I want you also to know that I've experienced every single one of those transitions, fears, and challenges that I just laid out. And I'll say hello again to those of you who I don't know. I'm Dr. Geneva, top uh, leadership voice on LinkedIn, and on a mission to teach and empower women in leadership roles to lead with even greater impact and success. And throughout my career, I've navigated multiple transitions, each with its own set of anxieties and obstacles. When I started my career in an internationally known, well respected organization at the bottom of the organization, and moved my way through 7 different positions within that organization, finally getting to the top as president and CEO. Trust, there was a whole lot of doubt and concerns that I had about my ability to make it, to succeed at each of those differing levels and all of them had increased levels of responsibilities in areas, a lot of stuff that I didn't know what I was doing or was stepping into for the first time. And then when I left that organization, which I was with for 25 years, and stepped into um, a brand new, never been done before startup with national implications, there was so much uncertainty that I had of building something from the ground up, all while knowing that everybody in the community and the industry was sitting there watching. you know, what's going to happen? What is this new thing? And how come, she went over there, she left that good job. People be saying, people saying, you left that good job for something over here. Uh-huh. And then after being with that in my 60s, I then decided to leave all of that nonprofit world behind, where I had that security of that paycheck coming in every 2 weeks, and step into the world of entrepreneurship. So when I tell you that I've been through these transitions and have grappled with everything from so-called imposter syndrome to worries about age discrimination and people telling me when I started a new, totally new career later on in life, why don't you go sit down? Aren't you ready to retire yet? Going from that to concerns about, well, what kind of effect is this going to have on my husband, my children, and will I be able to maintain a healthy work-life balance? So those transitions and fears and concerns are real deal. But let me tell you this, one thing that I've learned, one thing I clearly discovered is with the right strategies, support, and mindset, okay, it's possible to, not only, overcome these challenges and navigate through them, but you can thrive in the face of all of them. And so, my goal here today is to share with you some of those key lessons that I long learned, along the way, and to give you some concrete tools and insights that will help you navigate your career pivots and with that clarity and confidence, whether you're looking to change in your current field, or you want to start a brand new chapter, or you're just sitting back contemplating, or maybe you've already made the move or made the decision to make a move and you want to make sure that you're on the right track. Whatever it is, I want you to know that you have the power to create the career of your dreams. Yes, indeed. So, welcome, and want to say hello again to everyone. And I want to jump right on into um, the conversation, these tools. So, the first strategy I'd like you to think about, I invite you to think about if you're pivoting, want to pivot, thinking about changing um, your career, is the self assessment. Yeah, that self exploration, figuring out where you are, is a critical first step in the change process. So, what it means is you got to step back and think, what's going on with you? This self assessment, this introspection that you need to do. And the first step, often people say, well, yes, do this assessment, think about your strengths and your skills. I want you to start off with thinking about your values first. I want you to understand and be real clear about what's important in your life, in your career. Is it, being happy? Is it work-life balance? Is it making that money and having financial stability? Is it making a difference in your community? Think about, rank your values, figure out what matters most to you and what motivates you to work. So I want you to think about those values first. Second, I want you to think about the interest and passions that you have, the activities and things that draw you in, even if you weren't being paid. Have some reflection time on that. Consider, do you enjoy working with other people? Does that turn you on? Do you get that energy? Or perhaps you're more comfortable at a desk or looking at data. Perhaps you want to be creative. Do you want to build organizations from the ground up? Or would you prefer to work in an already established organization? Do you love helping people? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? And what activities stress you out? Okay. You got to know all of that. Then I want you to do a skill assessment. I work with my clients in a system I've developed called TSA, talents, skills, and accomplishments, where you would um, assess each of those, figure out that. You take a piece of paper and put up at the top talents, then another piece of paper up at the top skills, and your third piece of paper accomplishments. And really spend some time with each of those pieces of paper thinking through what are the talents, those things that you're, naturally inclined to, like I always wished I could sing, because, people are really born with that ability to sing and carry a tune. Those talents, the skills, the things that you've learned, you've developed, you've become good at, what are they? And then the accomplishments. And for those of you who are listening who are in midlife, I know you got a whole list of things you've accomplished, but rarely do we sit down, write it down, think about it, sit back and look at that. Look at those assets that we bring. So, this TSA, talent, skills, accomplishments, achievements, is another step in this self assessment. But I want to add one other that a lot of people don't talk about when this strategy of making sure what you bring, what you're, looking at yourself. And that is to make sure that you understand where you are physically, mentally, and emotionally as you're making these, thinking about contemplating or making a career change. When I went into this national startup I was telling you about, and I had some, again, some natural anxieties and all of that. But I noticed that I was it seemed extra irritable, but I tossed it off too. I was stressed out. It was a whole new challenge. And I found myself, my mood swings was real different. Later on, I found out I was in perimenopause. Okay, not menopause, not the full blown thing, but that pre stage, which honestly, I really didn't even know about. I didn't even know there was a pre stage to that. And I it really, when I stopped and thought about it and looked back at it, it really made a difference in how I regulated my emotions and what was going on. So I think it's really important. We don't talk enough about this, but to really take inventory of how we're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so do this inventory, this self assessment, and think about these things. I'd love to know what personal strength or particular talent or skill you bring that you're so proud of. Drop it in the comments. Love to hear about that. A second strategy that I want to talk to you about if you're contemplating a career change, a move, um, and is to network in place. Now, this is one of my favorite strategies. I frequently talk about it, but this strategy says that, particularly for those of you who are seasoned and been in this for a while, you got a whole lot of current connections that are most likely genuine, meaningful, because you've been working them for a while. Okay. And these colleagues, mentors, and friends can provide you with valuable insights and support you during your career transition, your pivots. You understand what I'm saying? So, this whole concept of networking with your current folk who know, like, and trust you is very a critical and an important strategy to use as you're thinking about career changes or pivots. And what you can do specifically is I like my delightful dozen list, not dirty dozen, but delightful dozen. And this is where I advise the women leaders that I work with to create this list of 12 individuals who know, like, and trust you, and you know, like, and trust them in return. Okay. And I mean, literally write them down, think about the names and talk to them, inform them about what you're thinking, what you're wanting to do. And it could be anything from, I've been in my career for X number of years doing this at a particular organization or with an agency, and I've been thinking about making a career change, or I've been thinking about and want to do something different, or I'm thinking about, or I value such and such making a difference, and I want to be someplace where I can do more of that, where I can contribute more. What do you think? Okay. And so you want to do that with um, these individuals, this delightful dozen list you've made, and you want to seek their guidance and assistance. And they may have some hookups for you, people they know who can help you. Again, because you've already established these genuine connections, network in place, rely on them. So as you think about your connections, is there someone in your network that you can connect with to support your goals? Does that make sense to you to do that? Let me know in the comments what you think. The next strategy in your career change, pivot, mindset, wanting to do that you're in now, these looking at these changes is to polish your brand, tweak it. All right. And the first step in doing that, and this, I also always get a lot of queries about, well, my brand, what should I do as I'm moving or thinking about moving into something different, particularly for those of you who are considering going from one field to a completely different field, or perhaps going from a nonprofit into starting your own business. And you think about your brand. And so you want to, whatever it is, you want to polish it. You want to look at it and see what kind of tweaks you might want to do. And the first step, I want to go back to them values. You're going to revisit your core values because you understand that your brand is the story that you tell, and that the story is the story that others connect to you when they hear your name. So you want to make sure that your values are going to align with your deepest um, uh, uh, the legacy you wish to leave, and you have this alignment that's crucial because it definitely impacts your authenticity, and you want to make sure that you're clear on what it is you're doing. And so revisiting your core values is always an essential when you think about brand. Oftentimes, we don't think enough about values when we're talking about branding. The second thing is that whatever place you are with your brand, I want you to modernize it, update your presence. So that means that you're going to, particularly with your digital footprint, you want to take on a fresher, modern look, whether it's your website, whether it's your LinkedIn profile, whether you even start a blog, that you want to make sure that you are right there at whatever trends are happening, wherever the places to be are, that you're actually thinking about a fresher, modern look design for what it is that you're doing. Because what you're doing is, what you want to do is show that you're evolving with whatever is happening, that you in sync with the times, that you're up to date. And this is especially critical for those of us who are in the later stages of our career. Okay. So showing ourselves that we're relevant, that we understand, that we, in our dress, in our appearance, in our conversation, that we understand the trends that are going on, that we can talk about key, relevant, current topics and issues. So we want to modernize and make sure that our presence, our look, our conversation is up to date. And this is very important as you're looking for those career changes or making those pivots. And then the other thing I want to make sure, as you're thinking about polishing your brand and tweaking your brand, is that you share your journey. Listen, you got so much going on that you've done in your career, in your work with others, for others, the accomplishments you've made, the experiences that have had, the lived life stories. You need to share that. Be transparent. This would be a wonderful time if you're thinking about making a career pivot, let's say in a year or so. Perhaps you want to start a blog, or perhaps you want to start posting more on a platform like LinkedIn, where you position yourself as a thought leader, particularly if you're going to switch careers or you want to move up in the industry that you're already in. You know enough that you, in fact, are a thought leader. And so write that blog, do that posting, put yourself out there, say yes to speaking engagements, attend, etc. So this whole concept of polishing your brand as you're thinking about making your career pivots is an important strategy. So listen, if you're finding value in these strategies so far, or if you need help in crafting your next career moves, I'd love to do that on LinkedIn. You can click my profile if you want to talk about it. But what I'd really love for you to do is to come join elevatenextlevelsuccess.com, because on a regular basis, I share career strategies, leadership development, how to maintain your work-life balance, and all kinds of gems and wisdom, etc. Come join my email community at elevatenextlevelsuccess.com. The next strategy that I want to talk about has to do with negotiations. And I get a lot of questions about that. And I say to um, uh, leaders, women who are in leadership roles that I work with and talk with and engage with, that, yeah, we could talk negotiations, but first I want your mindset on valuing your contribution. Okay. so that you are in a mindset that um, talks about, understands your worth. And so this shifts the focus slightly from just the self worth aspect to thinking more about the contributions you bring to a role. Okay. And again, it goes back to actually identifying your accomplishments, your achievements. We don't rah enough um, uh, ourselves. I can't tell you how many women that I've talked to and just listening to them, the things they've done, the experiences they've had. And I'm in awe all the time. The resiliency, the strength, the creativity, the innovativeness. There's so much, so many assets. And I find so many women, they just talk about it, but they just talk about it like it really ain't much about nothing. It's just like what I do every day. Okay. But this is the time, if you're thinking about career pivots or career changes, that you need to know specifically what contributions you bring to a role. You need to know your worth and stand by it. Research what people like you are being paid if you're moving and you want to, up that salary, articulate, know how to learn how to speak it, your value, those tangible achievements. And that's why you're going to know, of course, your contributions, your achievements. You're going to know that, and you're going to need to be able to articulate it. Knowing your salary range for the role that you're in or want to go to, being prepared to present that, any data that you need. Know your worth and stand by it. Ask those provocative questions, so called, like, can you explain how you calculated that number when you are sitting and in your interview and, for that dream job that you want, and a salary gets thrown on the table that is not within your range, because, of course, you know your range. Okay, ask, well, can you help me understand how you calculated that number or how you came to that offer? Or asking the question of, well, how can we relook at this offer so that it appropriately reflects my unique contributions I'll be bringing to your organization? Okay. Or talking about, while you're in negotiations for your compensation, talking about, well, how can we build in, or how does your company build in the professional growth and career advancement that I know I'd like to have? I'd like to fit that within our agreement. So often when we get to our negotiations, it's all about the money, but it needs to be more, particularly for you as a seasoned leader. Yeah, you want that money. You do want, financial stability is important. You need to make sure you have your benefits, retirement, all of that. Yes. And also, what about the career opportunities, the growth opportunities, the professional opportunities that you can get? Because remember, many of us at this stage in life want to leave a legacy. And so, really, getting a real clear sense on how you can continue to grow, and asking the question about how often would you regularly be reviewing compensation and adjusting it based upon performance and contributions. I remember when I transitioned into this new, never before done startup role, that I took a big salary cut. And so while we were negotiating, and I had pushed it as much as I couldn't go no further. I said, okay, let's talk right now about when we will have the next salary review if I make XYZ objectives within a certain time frame. Because I knew I was going to make them objectives. Okay. I was going to reach them goals. I was going to raise that money. I was going to do all of that. And so it's important to really think through that negotiation process, know your worth. And then the last thing I'll say as we talk about negotiations and this strategy about um, valuing your contribution is be prepared to walk away. Have a clear idea of what you will accept as a minimum, what your salary range is, what are the kinds of working conditions you want or will accept, etc. Make sure that you know that. And if you don't get it, you know, be prepared to walk away because, again, that probably is the height of you valuing yourself and your contributions. Another change strategy for career moves is being real clear on your transferable skills. Now, you've got an enormous amount of skills that can go from one place to another. That's what transferable skills are. They're portable. You can adapt them. Think of them as like a master key. If you have this master key, it can open lots of doors, not just one. And that's what you've got when you think about your transferable skills. And even if you go from, again, from one sector to a completely different. When I went from nonprofit world to entrepreneurship, in the beginning, one of my why I was anxious was I was thinking about, well, do I know enough? And then I began to think about those skills that I had acquired and gained, like communication, problem solving, adaptability, being a leader, solving problems, networking, all of those things, all of those skills that we have and we use are transferable. So that means, bottom line, what that means, you can go anywhere and do anything. Okay. Go into any career, any new field, move up where you are, start a new business. You, in fact, have the skills that are portable. Make sure you know them and you identify with them. I also want to make sure that you, um, in your portfolio, make sure that you're familiar with, that you work with AI, artificial intelligence. It's not going anywhere, it's here to stay. Get into it, find out about it, make sure that you have a working knowledge of AI. And then finally, in terms of these transferable skills, and just remember that skill development and learning and continual learning, embrace that lifelong learning because that's important. That whenever you want to pivot, whenever you want to make changes in your careers, having that lifelong learning is something you want to do. You want to commit to ongoing professional development. What's the one skill that you'd like to develop to advance your career? Is there something that you see that perhaps you want to polish up what you're doing, uh, making a difference, um, and doing those things so that you're sure that your skills are up to date and you can advance your career. What are those? And then the strategy another strategy that I invite you to think about and learn about. We don't talk about this enough, but it's a terrific one. And that is test out what it is, finding and testing a new career. So before you make a significant career challenge, test the waters and confirm that it really relates with what you want to do. And it's really a low risk approach, and you can gain a lot of clarity. I had a client who was preparing in the next few years for her retirement, and she always had this passion for the fashion industry. And so we developed a plan for her to test it out now while she's still working and before retirement. So she took some courses, she got a client or two, and she was able to test it out. Interestingly, she found out that she wasn't really as interested in it as she thought she was. And but can you imagine? It was so low risk. It's a big difference to test something out while you still got your gig, while you still doing it, and rather than completely leaving everything, going in a year or so later in a new field, find out this don't work. Okay, so you can test it out. So how can you can volunteer, where you offer your time and skills to in organizations in a place you want to be. If you're in the corporate world but you really got this passion for moving into nonprofits, go volunteer. Okay, and volunteer in a nonprofit. You can um, consider contracting or doing some freelance work in a particular field that you're interested in. In your own organization, you can do some cross functional work, or volunteer to work in another department, um, and do some internal transfer work. You can start studying a particular field. The point is that finding and testing out a career before you actually step into it is a strategy that can work. So put that strategy in your portfolio. So those are the strategies that I wanted to leave with you, and I'm hoping that as your strategies, you will leave those in the comments. And in concluding, remember to embrace your self-assessment. Remember your unique experience and skills. Know what you're good at, what you can leverage. Know your story. Surround yourself with a supportive network of mentors and talk to them, and network in place, and make sure that you test out things that you might be interested in before you jump in and experience them all. And always know your worth, know your value, set a salary range, know what your minimum is, be prepared to walk away. All of these strategies will help you um, move forward and think about and have you better prepared for your career changes. And so, what are you going to do this week if you're contemplating a career change? Is there going to be one of these strategies or perhaps another one that you'll use? Are you going to sign up for a course to take a new skill, carve out some time on some reflection about you and your career? I want you to remember that you are one of a kind leader with a distinct combination of talents, experiences, and perspectives that no one else can replicate. Embrace your uniqueness and let it shine in everything you do, and be the leader only you can be. I hope you found this conversation helpful. Thank you so much for the comments, and they're flowing in. And I'm delighted that you've joined us and have had this conversation. Please, thank you for leaving those comments, Dr. Pierre and Donna, and all of you who've joined us today. I want you to know that you are unique in whatever it is that you're thinking about doing for your next career move. And you can reinvent yourself and be whatever you want to be. Join us at elevatenextlevelsuccess.com, where we talk about these various strategies, techniques, things that you can do, things that are, I believe, already in you. You have these assets in you. You want to bring them out. You want to talk about them. You want to recognize them, reflect on them, use them, create that dream, that life that you want. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you came and joined today. Please use the information. Donna, love you so much. Dr. Pierre, all of you who have joined, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy if you found any piece of this information valuable. If you have, keep coming on back. Let me know what you'd like me to teach on, to talk about, and join us over at elevatenextlevelsuccess.com, where every day we share wisdom, gems to help you be the leader only you can be. See you next time, y'all. Love you.